After years away from home, I never expected to return and find my father's vegetable garden completely destroyed by a herd of zebras. That moment made me realize that the wild, if left unchecked, can quickly turn into a serious threat. We made up our minds to reclaim peace for this land. The hunt begins. We put on camouflage suits that blend perfectly with the soil and grass, boots designed for silent movement. The hounds were eager, waiting in the back of the pickup while our rifles were loaded and ready. Leon, our spotter, was stationed on a high rock ledge with binoculars and a radio. His job was to guide and alert us from above. Our mission: reduce the zebra population and drive them away from nearby farmlands. We began in the open plains where zebras usually graze at dawn. The wind was in our favor, blowing against us, masking our human scent. Through the binoculars, the black and white stripes slowly appeared in the distance. I locked my sights on a large male standing still. I held my breath, gently squeezed the trigger, boom. The zebra was hit, reared up, and bolted with the panicked herd. They scattered in zigzag patterns, a natural instinct to confuse predators. A few minutes later, the wounded zebra collapsed from exhaustion. The hunt had only just begun. We switched to detection and approach tactics. Following Leon's guidance, we tracked down a small group nearby. Moving slowly, we used every bush and rock for cover. At about 150 meters away, I froze. Another animal was standing close by, too risky to shoot now, as it might cause unnecessary harm. I waited patiently. When the perfect moment came, I raised my rifle, locked in, and pulled the trigger. The zebra tried to follow the herd, but collapsed after just a few dozen meters. We kept moving against the wind to stay undetected. A single gust from the wrong direction could ruin hours of effort. Then I spotted a lone zebra separated from the herd. This was the chance. I aimed for its shoulder, the weak spot, and fired cleanly. The animal stumbled, then fell, spared from any prolonged pain. By noon, the sun blazed overhead. This was when zebras sought shade to rest. We turned toward an area thick with shrubs. Leon's voice crackled through the radio. Several zebras ahead in the brush. Stay sharp. We quickly advanced toward them. I raised my rifle, every nerve focused. One single shot echoed, deciding the animal's fate. Soon after, we spotted another large herd and decided to follow them into a wider grassland area with dense cover. We waited patiently for the perfect shot. There was only one chance. I fired at the largest zebra as it stood still. The bullet hit clean. One shot, one kill. My teammate spotted another zebra standing alone behind a large bush. I moved quietly under his signal, motioning for everyone to stay silent. The target was right in front of me. I squeezed the trigger. The zebra sprinted like an arrow, but the wound was too severe. It fell soon after. We kept tracking along the bushes and low hills, using the terrain for cover. Step by step, we approached a zebra that had strayed from its herd. I was close enough now to take a precise shot that would ensure a swift, painless end. I fired decisively. One bullet, clean and final. The zebra took only a few steps before collapsing. As dusk approached, we decided to unleash the hounds for the final pursuit. From afar, I found a safe shooting angle. One final shot ended the chase, closing out a long, intense day of hunting. As the sun dipped behind the hills, our dusty Jeep Wrangler rolled back toward camp. We gathered by the fire, sharing slices of grilled zebra meat, savoring the victory. Wild boars, creatures that may seem harmless at first glance, have become a terrifying nightmare for countless rural farmers. They destroy rice fields, rip through orchards, and even attack livestock, causing more and more serious damage with each passing day. In response, hunting missions are being organized not out of thrill, but as a responsible action to help control boar populations and protect peaceful livelihoods. And today, we set out once again on one of those critical missions. What dangers await us in the wild this time? Join us on this intense, edge-of-your-seat hunt right now. This time, we chose a vast hillside in the U.S. to track down wild boars at the break of dawn. The terrain is rough, densely wooded, and every shadow could be hiding a beast. All gear had been thoroughly checked, guns loaded, hound sniffing, and eyes sharp. Just past a small slope, a rustle broke the morning stillness from down the hill. We froze. A massive boar emerged slowly from the brush. Its size alone could make your heart skip a beat. Wasting no time, I raised my rifle and held my breath steady. Bang! The shot shattered the silence. The boar let out a thunderous growl and collapsed. A perfect opening to what promised to be an epic hunt. That first gunshot echoed through the woods like a warning. Suddenly, from the opposite forest line, a herd of panicked boars burst out, crashing through trees, scrambling uphill to flee. I spun around, locked onto one of them, and fired. Direct hit. It staggered midway up the slope before collapsing. The rest kept running, leaving behind broken branches and chaos. No hesitation, I followed the trail left by the herd. There they were. I lifted my rifle, steadied my breath, and aimed with care. One precise shot, one more target down. The boar struggled for a moment, then lay still. Another trophy claimed, but the hunt wasn't over yet. Meanwhile, at the forest's edge, my teammate was combing through dense undergrowth. Out of nowhere, a giant black shape exploded from the bushes, charging forward at an insane speed. Instinct kicked in. Jack raised his rifle and fired. Boom! The beast was hit, tumbling over and rolling several times before crashing down. The hill hunt had come to a breathless, adrenaline-filled close. With the hillside sweep completed, we shifted toward the open plains. The ATV rumbled across the cracked, dry earth. The hounds were unleashed, barking wildly. The chase was on again. Our weapons, trackers, binoculars, everything double-checked. After driving a few hundred meters, a massive boar suddenly appeared, charging straight toward me. I didn't flinch. I raised my rifle, braced myself, and aimed. Boom! The sound echoed across the silent plain. The creature was hit, staggered a few steps, then dropped. Dust exploded into the air. We pressed deeper into the field, carefully stepping through low shrubs. Suddenly, a bush shook violently ahead. I dropped low and tightened my grip on the trigger. A boar burst out, sprinting for its life. Right at that moment, I fired. The shot landed square on its flank. It was over. Not far off, from the opposite side of the field, I spotted my teammate taking aim. His eyes locked on another monstrous boar. He didn't hesitate. The shot rang out with power. The beast howled and dropped, thrashing for just a few seconds before going still.
Seguiremos con finca cada gestión, que es el único camino que hay. Y algo...
This hunting expedition was more than just a face-off with danger. It was a showcase of teamwork, courage, and razor-sharp skills. Every move was carried out in strict accordance with local wildlife laws and regulations. Recently, the southern region of the United States has been flooded with signs of wild boars. They uproot the land, break tree trunks, and leave deep muddy tracks in the still damp red soil. We couldn't let this destruction continue, so we decided to organize a hunt, not only to protect the land and crops, but also to eliminate these natural destroyers known as the beasts of the wild. Will today's hunt bring the results we hope for? What surprises await us in the silent wilderness? Join us and find out now. We started climbing the mountain at dawn while the sky was still faintly lit. The steep, slippery terrain made progress challenging, but the team maintained a steady pace. Once we reached the high point, we quickly checked our guns, ammo, and gear. Each person spread out in different directions, staying connected through walkie-talkies and signal lights. The hunt officially begins. As I was moving along a narrow slope between two rocky outcrops, suddenly a noise erupted from the bushes ahead. Before I could even signal, a jet-black wild boar burst out, heavy in body but astonishingly fast. I immediately raised my rifle and aimed straight at its shoulder. The shot rang out. The beast faltered for a few steps, then collapsed, writhing briefly before falling still. A few hundred meters away, a teammate was facing a giant beast of his own. It didn't run but slowly advanced, as if ready to attack. Without hesitation, he took careful aim and fired. The gunshot echoed through the forest. The wild boar instantly leapt up, writhing in pain before collapsing onto the rocky ground. This place seemed to be a regular path for the wild boars, so finding them wasn't difficult. As we were discussing our ambush positions, suddenly, from the nearby bushes, another boar burst. Not letting it escape, he quickly spun around and squeezed the trigger just as the beast flashed past the muzzle. The bullet struck its hip, causing it to stagger a few steps before collapsing on the sloped ground, groaning in pain before falling completely still. After that takedown, we continued moving down the mountainside. Suddenly, the sharp barks of hunting dogs echoed ahead, signaling the presence of prey. The team immediately quickened their pace to close in. From the forest edge, two wild boars suddenly burst out. I took a quick aim and pulled the trigger. One was hit and dropped instantly. The other, terrified, fled desperately into the woods. Determined not to let the prey escape, we immediately gave chase and quickly spotted hurried footprints pressed into the damp earth. Suddenly, the beast darted right past us. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle and took a split-second shot. The gunshot echoed as the bullet struck its hip, sending it crashing to the ground. After taking down the prey, we scanned the surroundings. Signs indicated the herd had likely scattered down into the forest, a lower area dense with trees ripe for destruction. Without hesitation, the team decided to move on and continue the tracking. No surprise there. In less than 5 minutes, a wild boar suddenly appeared, charging wildly through the low bushes ahead. Wasting no time, I swiftly raised my rifle and fired instinctively. The shot echoed sharply through the sparse forest. The beast staggered a few steps before collapsing onto the ground. The moment the shot rang out, the entire forest seemed to tremble. Immediately, another wild boar burst out from nearby bushes, panic-stricken and desperate to escape. Not letting it get far, I quickly swung my rifle around and fired again. The bullet struck its back, sending the beast tumbling down with no chance to fight back. After hours of relentless pursuit, we decided to withdraw, following the trail back to the rendezvous point. Suddenly, a large wild boar appeared just a few dozen meters ahead. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle and fired in an instant. The prey was hit and completely subdued, an unexpected ending to today's intense hunting journey. All the prey in today's hunt were taken down cleanly, within legal limits, and in full compliance with the hunting regulations in this area. Not only did we help protect the crops, but we also eliminated many potential threats to the local communities. They're serene lands, but deep within, nature churns with relentless ferocity. Wild boars are not just creatures of the wild, they are a silent threat to crops and human livelihoods. Across America, fields lie ravaged, barns stand in ruins, and forests are devastated by these animals. Their presence signals an unforgiving battle, and we will not surrender in this fight. Will our skills and experience be enough to reclaim control from these growling shadows? Join us to find the answer right now. Kicking off today's hunt, we venture into towering rocky mountains where rugged terrain and dense thickets obscure visibility. After checking our equipment, organizing the team, and coordinating communication positions, the group begins moving along the steep slopes. From a distance, at the base of the cliff, I catch a glimpse of a wild boar lurking behind dry grass. Without hesitation, I get into position, raise my rifle, and prepare for the confrontation. Patiently waiting and aiming directly at the boar, I pull the trigger. With a single shot hitting its weak spot, the wild boar collapses, instantly unable to react. It seemed like everything ended with the first shot, but no, it was only the beginning. Suddenly, the rustling of dry leaves echoed. Another wild boar was charging toward me. Without hesitation, I took aim, and when the moment was right, I pulled the trigger. The bullet struck the boar's body, sending it tumbling down the cliff before it went completely still. Not far away, on another cliff, my teammate John was locked in a fierce struggle. 3 wild boars burst out from the bushes, fleeing in the opposite direction of his ambush. But in a split second, John fired 3 precise shots, taking down all 3 before they could escape. After hearing the decisive shots from John's direction, the team realized he had finished his pursuit. Without delay, Tony decided to navigate along the rocky slope and climb to a higher vantage point to survey the situation. From above, he spotted the dark silhouette of a wild boar weaving through the tall grass, charging straight toward him. Without hesitation, Tony raised his rifle and fired. 2 precise shots, and the boar collapsed right in front of him. Contrary to our stealth, the forest began to echo with sounds signaling another battle about to unfold. Among the trees, the rapid, forceful stomping on ground grew louder. Suddenly, a massive black shape darted past like lightning, a large, powerful wild boar charging like a whirlwind. I gripped my rifle tightly. Cold sweat trickled down my spine as heavy breaths filled the air. The boar weaved through the underbrush, disappearing and reappearing in flashes. After a few seconds, it fully emerged between the trees. Without hesitation, I pulled the trigger. The deafening shot shattered the silence. The beast collapsed motionless. The forest fell quiet again, save for our ragged breathing. We ventured deeper into the forest, known to be a favorite haunt of wild boars. As expected, there was little time to catch our breath after the previous shot. Another boar appeared not far away, moving through a clearing in the woods. I took cover behind a small tree, raised my rifle, pressed it firmly against my cheek, steadied my breathing, and when the moment was perfect, I pulled the trigger without hesitation. The shot rang out, clear, sharp, and decisive. The beast staggered from the impact and collapsed motionless. Other boars scattered chaotically through the forest, and my teammates worked swiftly to take down as many as possible. At the same time, a few hundred meters away in the western part of the forest, my teammate was engaged in his own intense battle. Before him, a wild boar charged forward, its hooves crunching through the dry leaves, shattering the forest silence. His eyes locked onto its every move, the barrel of his rifle tracking the boar like a shadow. At the precise moment the animal stepped into his crosshairs, a decisive shot rang out. Without hesitation, the beast halted, then collapsed onto the leaf-covered forest floor. We decided to head back before dark, carrying our trophies. Hunting wild boars isn't for sport. It's a mission to protect ourselves and the local community. There's no recklessness here, only experience, preparation, and the resolve of seasoned hunters. all activities strictly adhere to legal regulations and prioritize safety.